Okay, so I don't normally track politics, and I'm not that into sort of inter-party politics and what's going on, but this story is too good to pass up on. The question is Shashi Tharoor joining the BJP, right? And why are we asking this question? Because the government selected Shashi Tharoor to head one of the international delegations for diplomatic outreach after Operation Sindoor. He accepted, and his party really frowned upon it. And the party accused the government of playing political tricks with a mischievous mindset. So we're going to ask this question, also get into some history of Tharoor and the BJP and the history that they've had together. And I'll give you a breakdown of everything that's happened, right? So to begin with, on the 17th of May, the government announced via a tweet by Union Minister Kiran Rijiju. Are we still calling them tweets? Or now, because it's X, we're calling them something else? Anyway, so the post came out and the government said that it has chosen Shashi Tharoor to lead one of the 7 multi-party delegations abroad to put across India's stand against Pakistan for supporting terrorism. The minister tweeted basically, and I'm quoting, it said, "In matters that matter most, Bharat stands united, and these are 7 all-party delegations that will visit key partner nations and carry out our message." Following this, and this was where it got interesting, Congress's Jairam Ramesh came up with some interesting information. He basically said that Tharoor was not one of the 4 MPs that the Congress party had nominated to these delegations. So apparently the previous day, and this is according to Jairam Ramesh, so on the 16th of May, Kiran Rijiju, who's the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs, the minister spoke with the Congress president and the leader of the opposition in Lok Sabha and asked them to submit 4 names of members of parliament for these delegations. And the Congress gave in 4 names, and those 4 names were Anand Sharma, Gaurav Gogoi, Nasir Hussain, and Raja Brar, not Shashi Tharoor. And then, surprise, surprise, the next day the announcement came, and Shashi Tharoor's name was on the list, right? So the Congress is like, what is going on? Now, before any of this could actually settle, Tharoor jumped in with his own version and he said, "I'm honored by this invitation to lead the all-party delegation and to present our nation's point of view. When a national interest is involved, my services are required. I will not be found wanting. Jai Hind," end quote. So Tharoor, after sort of indicating his willingness, pinned this response also at the top of his X account, suggesting that he is really serious about this. Now, later in the day, Congress General Secretary Jairam Ramesh said that the confidence between the government and the principal opposition party, which is the Congress party, which is normally there, has been shattered after the government asked the Congress to give names for the delegations and then went off and picked its own names and disregarded its recommendations. To which, when asked specifically about Shashi Tharoor, Jairam Ramesh apparently said, and I'm quoting here, "Congress mein hona aur Congress ka hone mein Zameen Asaman ka antar hai." Basically, there's a big difference between being from the Congress and being off the Congress. To which, and I know it's so fun, right? Shashi Tharoor has responded saying, and I'm quoting, "My party's leadership is entitled to its opinion about my abilities or the lack thereof, and I think it's really up to them to explain." So this is where that big question is coming. So what's going on? Is Shashi Tharoor actually changing sides? Because he's obviously at this point doing like an open bagawat against his own party, or he's rebelling against his party. Is that what's really going on, or is it national interest? Let's take a look at sort of the previous instances when he's gone up against his party. February this year, Shashi Tharoor had hailed the LDF government's development initiatives, following which the Congress High Command summoned senior leaders and MPs from Kerala to Delhi. Tharoor's close associates have said that he conveyed his unhappiness about being sidelined in the party at the national and the state level. And earlier, Tharoor's public criticism of the leadership vacuum in the Kerala state unit and his projection as a Congress's face ahead of the assembly polls had actually ticked off a lot of people in his party. In March this year, BJP had a complete field day apparently. We were taunting the Congress when Shashi Tharoor had actually supported the government's stance on the Ukraine war. And the BJP leaders said, "Oh, it's good to see Congress leaders are acknowledging PM Modi and praising PM Modi." So what had happened was this. There was an event called Rayasena Dialogues, if you'll remember. And at that event, Tharoor basically said that when the Ukraine war had started, he had criticized the Modi government for attempting to straddle both sides, which is Russia and Ukraine at the same time. And he said that was a sloppy way to do it. It's not going to work out. But he then went on to say at the Rayasena Dialogues that he was left with egg on his face because the government actually did a really good job. So I'm going to tell you what he said specifically. He said, "I am still wiping egg off my face because I'm one person in the parliamentary debate who actually criticized India's position in February 2022. The policy meant that India actually has a prime minister who can hug both the president of Ukraine and the president of Moscow 2 weeks apart and be accepted in both places." Now, unlike Western and European leaders, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has not sided with any one country, he's sided with peace. This is what Tharoor said. In February, Tharoor said the outcome of PM Modi's visit to the US was very good, underlying how several major concerns had been addressed in that meeting. So again, he's taken and he's considered to be, because of his career in the United Nations and also once being the junior external affairs minister, he's considered to be a voice on external affairs, and he regularly praises the Modi government. You'll remember, if I take you back a little bit, in 2020, he was part of the 23 senior Congress leaders who wrote a letter of dissent to Sonia Gandhi, asking her for sweeping changes and for elections, for changing the way things are done in the parties, in the Congress party. And along with Manish Tiwari, Shashi Tharoor was among the senior leaders who had actually shot off that letter. So he was part of that entire team that asked for changes, and that really was seen as a taking on of the Gandhi leadership of the Congress party, Rahul Gandhi specifically, after which the Congress party had elections. And very clearly, the Gandhis at that point had backed Mallikarjun Kharge, who was the current party chief, for that election, but Shashi Tharoor ran against him. And the fact that he went up against the Gandhi leadership choice candidate was also seen as a bit of a rebellion at that point. I want to also take you through the relationship that Shashi Tharoor has had with the Prime Minister. Now, back in 2015, the Prime Minister had actually praised Shashi Tharoor, who had made a speech at Oxford University. I'm sure we've all seen it, where he called for repatriations to India because of damage done by colonial rule, and apparently the Prime Minister was very impressed with that speech that he had made. But if we go a few years before that, in 2012, when the Prime Minister was still the Chief Minister of Gujarat, he had actually referred to Shashi Tharoor's personal life and referred to his then wife, Sunanda Pushkar, as a 50 crore rupee girlfriend. So has Shashi Tharoor, has that bygones been bygones and he's forgiven and forgotten at this point? We don't know. Because earlier this year, not very long ago, in fact, in May, when the Prime Minister was inaugurating the new port that Adani will run in Kerala, he had the Chief Minister of Kerala, Pinarayi Vijayan, on the stage, and he had Shashi Tharoor on the stage, and he basically said that Shashi Tharoor is also sitting here. Today's event is going to disturb the sleep of many. Neend ura degi bahut logon ki. But the real piece of evidence is this. Amit Malviya, the head of the BJP IT cell, today, just recently has put up this post on X saying, no one can deny Shashi Tharoor's eloquence and his long experience in the United Nations and his deep insights in the matter of foreign policy. So why has the Congress party, Rahul Gandhi in particular, not chosen to nominate him for the multi-party delegation being sent abroad to explain India's position? So if now Amit Malviya is backing Shashi Tharoor, now that really sets off the signals all over the place, right? In February also, there was a point when Shashi Tharoor had actually gone to the UK and he put up a selfie with Piyush Goyal, both of them beaming and smiling, saying, oh, they caught up in the UK. And there was a time when Piyush Goyal basically said that he couldn't understand what Shashi Tharoor actually says because of his accent. So it does seem like a lot of those pot shots that politicians take at each other seems to have been put in the past, and it does seem like Tharoor is crossing some sort of dotted line at this point into another party. I want to give you a couple of more examples, right? So when Operation Sindoor was on, Tharoor actually praised the government, and he said the airstrikes were calibrated and very calculated. He strongly countered Donald Trump's claims that he had led any sort of mediation between India and Pakistan. And apparently this really put the Congress on the back foot, because the Congress was preparing to take on the government on what Donald Trump was saying. Remember, normally in good faith, when there is a conflict with an external enemy, parties tend to come together, and we saw the opposition parties fully back the government. But when the conflict is over, they reserve the right to ask government questions. So apparently, from back channel, sort of what we're hearing, the Congress was at that point amassing evidence to question the government after the conflict was over. One of the things they were going to question the government on was Donald Trump claiming to have mediated when India never invites third-party mediation, right? But Shashi Tharoor had gone off before any of this happened and dismissed Donald Trump's claims of mediation. So apparently, Jairam Ramesh, according to some source-based information in Business Today, actually directly confronted Tharoor and questioned him for going off script based on what the Congress leaders were actually talking about at that point. And as per one Congress leader, it was said that there was enough democracy in the party. Everyone had freedom to speak, but Shashi Tharoor had crossed the Lakshman Rekha at that time. I also want to point out, though, it's very interesting to notice that in the last week or so, Tharoor has given interviews to many in the media. He's talking extensively about Operation Sindoor. He's talking extensively about the good work being done by the government. It doesn't seem to be the script being followed by the rest of the party. Remember, Rahul Gandhi is questioning at this point how the government handled Operation Sindoor. Rahul Gandhi is questioning, the External Affairs Minister for warning Pakistan before we actually sent our missiles over or started the attack. So there doesn't seem to be matching the script of the Congress. He seems to have gone off on his own, off script, maybe even rogue at this point. The question is, if he's gone off on his own, is he going off into the BJP? Also remember, for politicians who stay in the opposition for a very long period of time, and for members of the opposition now, it's been over 10 years, right? It's 11, 12 years now. Any sort of connection with activity, with being part of, government is exciting. So I want you to tell me if you think Shashi Tharoor is switching over to the BJP, if you think the BJP will find it interesting to have voices like his in the BJP, because traditionally when the BJP came to power, remember, there were slogans like hard work, not Harvard. This sound of this sort of British educated clipped English was not something the BJP wanted. They wanted to sound relatable. They wanted to sound, they spoke a lot of Hindi, they spoke very little English. The idea was to be very close to the ground. Does Shashi Tharoor fit into that version of the BJP, or is this a new version that the BJP is now building? Let me know what you think in the comment section. Also remember, before you go, like, share, subscribe, and if you like the way we are doing our coverage, please sign up for our membership because it will help us actually make some money, which we need to do. Thanks for watching.